Sligo, Ireland, a small coastal seaport in the county town of Sligo County. It is a small, unsuspecting town in the northwest of Ireland, known for its literary and cultural associations. With a population of around 20,000, it is the kind of town where you would expect to know just about everyone. So how did it come to be that an unknown man of possibly Austrian or German descent, without a real name or address and no missing person report, would meet his end on a beach here in Sligo? Welcome and thank you for joining me. The story I have for you this evening is one of mystery, a man far from home, as far as we know, and an unexplained death. This story takes place recently in 2009 in a sleepy town known as Sligo in northwest Ireland. An unknown man travelled to the quiet city unaccompanied. He arrived on Friday and was dead by Tuesday. No personal effects were discovered, no identifying documents. The only possible clue we have is his name, a name that appears to have been fabricated. This is the story of an unknown man named Peter Bergmann. At around 4 PM on Friday, June 12th, Peter Bergmann was seen on CCTV cameras at Derry bus station, approximately 86 miles north of Sligo. He was wearing a black leather jacket and carrying two black bags, one a hold-all type bag with two handles, the other a laptop type bag slung over his shoulder. 2 hours and 28 minutes later, he was seen again getting off the bus at Sligo bus station. Bergmann was described as tall and thin, standing at 5 feet and 10.5 inches, with short grey hair, blue eyes and a tan complexion. He was a well-groomed man with a cleanly shaven face and neatly brushed hair. He is believed to have been around 60 years old. It seems he did not have much of a plan for his arrival in Sligo, as he hopped into a taxi and asked to be taken to any cheap hotel. He was taken to the Crucian Land guest house on Connolly Street, but it was full. It was after this that he was driven to the Sligo City Hotel on Quay Street, the hotel that would house him in his final few days. He entered the hotel at 6:52 PM and is reported to have had an Austrian or German accent, a statement which would line up with the address provided by Bergmann upon checking in. Einstettesen 15 4472 Vienna, Austria. He was not required to show any identification and signed his name as Peter Bergmann. He paid the €65 fee in cash. Bergmann's stay at the hotel would look like that of any other person until his movements were later examined by the Irish police force known as the Garda. The day after he checked into the Sligo City Hotel, Bergmann would be seen at around 10:49 AM walking to the post office. It was there that he purchased 10 82-cent stamps and was reportedly given airmail stickers. The stamps purchased would be sufficient for sending a letter anywhere in the world. Bergmann was captured on CCTV making this purchase, but he was not seen posting any letters, and it is not known if those stamps were used. Police would later view the footage of the man in the post office, but due to a technical error, the footage was not transferred to USB and was resultingly wiped from the post office's system. Had this footage been recovered, it may have been possible to identify whether Bergmann sent out any letters. The following day, on Sunday, June 14th, the man was spotted out by the taxi rank, map in hand. He was approached by a taxi driver, Gerard Higgins, who asked the man where he was looking to go. Bergmann responded that he was looking for a beach to swim at and, at Higgins' suggestion, headed out to Ross's Point in the taxi. During the journey, Bergmann made small talk and asked the driver if any buses headed out in this direction, and revealed that he was from Austria. Higgins drove the man to the two beaches at Ross's Point, where he would not get out to swim as expected, but instead asked to be taken back to Sligo to the bus station. Up to this point, Bergmann's stay at the Sligo City Hotel had been quite unremarkable. He was seen coming and going, he visited the post office, and he had taken a short journey out to a local beach. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary to the hotel staff and those that interacted with him. What they were not aware of is that Bergmann had been slowly dispersing the contents of his luggage that he had arrived with just 2 days ago. Bergmann would leave the hotel carrying a purple plastic bag, clearly filled with something, but each time he would return, he would have nothing in hand. It is speculated that he would fold the bag up once emptied and carry it in his pocket, ready for the next trip outside to empty it of its contents again. During his short stay, he would leave the hotel with a full purple plastic bag no less than 13 times. The locations of where he would dispose of the contents could not be identified. It would seem that Bergmann utilised blind spots and CCTV to dispose of his belongings without being seen. John O'Reilly was the detective inspector at the time of the case, and despite the extensive network of CCTV cameras in Sligo at this time, he stated that not one piece of footage shows Bergmann disposing of anything. Bergmann was also never seen on camera speaking on a mobile phone or conversing with another person, other than his transaction at the hotel and bus station and the post office. On Monday, June 15th, Bergmann requested a late checkout of 1 p.m. Upon arriving at the reception desk to hand in his room key, he was seen carrying a black shoulder bag, a purple plastic bag, and a black luggage bag, supposedly a different luggage bag to that with which he had arrived just a few days prior. He did not take a taxi, instead walking the short distance to Sligo bus station. He reportedly stopped at Quayside Shopping Centre and awkwardly waited in a doorway for a number of minutes. Then, at 1:16 p.m, he left the shopping centre and walked along Wine Street in the direction of the bus station, still carrying all 3 bags. He was next seen on CCTV at 1:32 p.m, however, he was no longer carrying his black luggage bag. It was described as appearing to be a soft bag that could easily be folded up when empty and put into a public bin. Whilst at the station, Peter Bergmann ordered a cappuccino and toasted sandwich. He ate his lunch, all the while visible on CCTV, and while there took a piece of paper out from his pocket and either read or wrote something down. However, a moment later he tore it up and threw it in the bin. These scraps of paper, like the rest of his belongings and anything that may help identify him, would never be recovered. Bergmann would approach a man and inquire about the 2:40 p.m. bus to Ross's Point. That man was Vincent Dunbar, depot inspector at Sligo bus station. Upon answering the question, Bergmann turned and walked away without thanking the man. Dunbar later said he looked like a man that was stressed or in pain or not himself. Bergmann boarded the bus and alighted at Ross's Point. The bus would drop its passengers off outside the Yeats Country Hotel, but nobody at the hotel would recall seeing a man of the description come inside. Over the rest of the afternoon and evening, Bergmann would be seen by 16 people at 4 p.m, 5, 9:10, 9:30, 10:30, 11, 11:10, and finally 11:50 p.m. Throughout these sightings, he would be seen carrying his purple plastic bag and wearing his glasses. He reportedly walked barefoot through the water's edge in a deliberate manner, crossing back and forth whilst the sun set behind him. The following morning, Tuesday, June 16th, local man Arthur Kinsella and his son Brian discovered the body of Peter Bergmann at approximately 6:45 a.m. Arthur and Brian said the Lord's Prayer for the man and called the Garda. At 8:10 a.m, Dr. Valerie McGowan would pronounce the man dead. He was wearing purple striped Speedo-style swimming trunks, with his underpants over the top and a navy t-shirt tucked into them, with a waterproof quartz watch on his left wrist. His body would be taken to Sligo University Hospital to await an autopsy. Other members of the police force would remain on the beach, searching for his belongings. Before long, they would come to find a neat stack of folded clothes and other personal effects on a nearby rock, all of which matched the descriptions of the man's outfit the day prior. What was so unusual about his clothing is that all the labels had been removed. Many pieces of the clothing could not be identified, but some branding was still visible, such as a black leather jacket and navy chino trousers, both from C&A, a popular retail store in Europe. The man had so expertly covered his tracks up to this point, it seemed he did not want to be identified, even by the clothes on his back. Distributed in various pockets were 140 euros in notes and 9 euros in coins, a packet of tissues, 55 milligrams of aspirin tablets commonly found in Germany, plasters, and a bar of hotel soap in an unopened blue wrapper. It was not a brand made or stocked by any hotels in Ireland. Not found among the possessions were Peter Bergmann's glasses, the 10 82-cent stamps he had bought in the post office, the long-sleeved blue shirt he was wearing when he left Sligo City Hotel, the black shoulder bag, or the purple plastic bag. There was no ID of any kind, and he had not been asked to show any at the hotel upon checking in, despite it being required of all hotel guests by law. While Bergmann may not have given the authorities much to go on in order to identify him, they did have the details he provided to the Sligo City Hotel. However, upon inspection, it would be noted that the address given, much like the name, would turn out to be fabricated. There is no Einstädtesen in Vienna, and the postal code does not match any that would be valid in Vienna. It would seem that Peter Bergmann had managed to leave this world without a single clue as to where he came from, and how or why he ended up in Sligo. The autopsy would take place on Wednesday, June 17, 2009 at Sligo University Hospital, the results of which would be a surprise and thicken the shroud of mystery surrounding this case. Despite being washed up on the beach, Peter Bergmann did not drown. There were no signs of classical saltwater drowning, so what then was the cause of Peter Bergmann's death? It would seem that while out in the water that night, he suffered an acute cardiac arrest. The post-mortem showed signs of previous heart attacks, and overall, the man was in very poor health. In fact, Peter Bergmann's biggest secret was that he had terminal prostate cancer. The cancer was at such a late stage that it had spread to his bones, chest and lungs. Dr. Clive Kilgallen, who performed the examination, stated that Bergmann couldn't have possibly been unaware of the cancer raging through his body, and the prognosis, a few weeks at most. Despite his ailments, Bergmann was found not to have any medication in his system. His condition would have caused him significant constant pain, but he did not even appear to have taken the aspirin found amongst his possessions. All the evidence available points to the story of a man who came to Sligo with the intention of ending his life, but we are left with so many questions. Why did he come here alone, under a false name, seemingly far from home, leaving no scrap of evidence that could point to his identity? Did Peter Bergmann use his 10 82-cent stamps to send his final goodbyes to loved ones? Why has there never been a missing person report filed? Did he travel to Sligo to end his life on his own terms? If so, why Sligo? And what caused the heart attack that killed him? Peter Bergmann was buried in an unmarked grave in Sligo Cemetery. The plot in which he was buried is designated for unclaimed bodies. It can hold 3 and already held the body of another, but Bergmann's will be the last to be placed in that grave in case anyone should come forward. We can speculate until the end of time, but without further evidence, without the retrieval of the possessions he disposed of, and without any loved ones coming forward, we will never know the true story of Peter Bergmann. Thank you for joining me for this story of mystery. If you have any comments, questions or suggestions, please feel free to leave them down in the comments section below. Until next time.